Hello, darlings. Welcome back to the Gentleman Psychic. I thought we would read in my drawing room at this evening. You know what I should have done? I always forget to do this. I should have also had my computer so that I could share the link. I don't know if anyone will know that I'm here. I need to also adjust this camera a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Well, just wait right here. Well, I could go run and get it. I don't see anybody in the chat here yet. Okay. Stay right there. I'll be right back. 30 seconds, I promise. I am trying to be very modern and proactive. So I'm going to click on this one, and then I will go over here to you, and I will see this. Let's see, your channel. And I'm live right now. It says I'm live. So I'm going to share this one. Share on Facebook. Hi, Malika. Hi, Mason. Lovely to see you. Oh, thank you. Yes, I gave myself a haircut. I'll talk about my haircut in a moment. Okay. Now, I am sharing that, supposed to be sharing that on my Facebook. I hope I am. Thank you, Raven. I appreciate it. So, I have been cutting my own hair since I was roughly about 15. Long story short is that my mother used to cut my hair, and then I decided that I wanted to cut my hair. So, I like it. It's very short. But I like it. Uh-oh, 54. I think we're on page 54. We are on page 54. Okay. We'll come back to that one. I want to talk about a little bit. Hi, Mary Jane. Good to see you. I want to talk about some really wonderful things, some good things. So now the Gentleman Psychic is going to be on Paraflix. You want to see me there with, I'll be there with Patty Negri, Father Sebastian, Natalie Jones, Nick Haunted Diary, and many more. There's a lot of things on Paraflix. Use code Richard-Lael 10. They will give you discounts. They'll give you behind the scenes. So you definitely want to check that out. Use Richard-Lael 10 as the code. Also, some wonderful things coming up. For those of you who know, I am going to be doing a haunted murder mystery here, via Zoom like this, in this house. And we have limited space. I think I only have about 5 or 6 more tickets left for that. Coming up in a few months, I will be working with a friend of mine, my friend Wayne David Hand. He has a beautiful home that we are working on preserving and making into a destination. So there will be events that will happen there. Keep a lookout on the Facebook pages and on Patreon, which I need to update because I have been so overwhelmed. I have not. Tonight should not be very long because we read most of this book last week. So yeah, we have a little bit left. Not a lot. We have a little bit left. One day there will be no water to drink, and then you will see the devil. I didn't know what that. I couldn't read that. Okay. One day there will be no water to drink, and you will see if the devil will be there. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you are thinking about the environment. I'm glad you were thinking about the environment. That's what I can say. Anyway, darlings, I guess we are going to go on and do some reading. So here we go. To promote literacy, this is my gift to you. So here we go. Wastebasket for wicked editors. Editors who take an awful satisfaction in rejecting manuscripts are piled in huge red-hot iron wastebaskets. Those also who sin by swearing falsely to the circulation of their papers are here. They are put down deep into the bottom of the baskets, as the smallest, wormiest apples are always found in the lowest depths of the barrel. Here also are those editors who never credit stolen matter. In the valleys and on the mountainsides, in caves and in ditches everywhere, where to be seen these wastebaskets, each holding at least 150 editors. I trust this news will send a thrill of serene joy through the heart of the struggling story writer and the amateur poet. Democratic and Republican editors are thrown together regardless of their political works. Often, and this must be a pitiless punishment, a Republican editor, for instance, will find himself associated cheek by jowl with the editor of a rival Democratic paper. Free traders rub elbows with protectionists. No wonder these baskets of humankind have heave and toss with the wild animation that pervades a can of angleworm bait. Occasionally, Mr. Satan makes a trip through his realm on a special car to see how things are progressing. On these tours of inspection, he frequently addresses a few remarks to the crowds drawn about his coach by curiosity. On the occasion of his last trip there was a strike threatening at the sulfur factory. Mr. Satan heard of the disturbance and ordered his coach backed up on the side track by the works as the men were leaving. He stepped out on the platform. An occasional hiss with an accompanying low groan swept through the crowd, but the king was firm. "Gentlemen, employees, and fellow citizens of hell," he began, "let us listen to reason." Then, with graceful and depreciating wave of his long tail, he leaned over the platform and flung this apothegm in their teeth. "Turbulence born of impulse is a ram that speeds blind fury on a rock." And falls back, biting the dust. Then pausing and straightening up to see the effect, he continued, "The disturbance is unwise. I see a great many before me who are working out eternal sentences for various offenses, at hard labor in this brimstone factory. Others here, the foreman and the overseers, are my compeers, and these, I have every reason to believe, are not in sympathy with the strike. To the former, let me repeat, this disturbance is unwise. It behooves all of you to go back and put again the machinery to rumble. Why this seething dissatisfaction? Surely you do not think that wealth is a chute through which one can slide to heaven of joy. Here you should be contented. You have all the clothing you need, and I pay for your car fare. And then think long and deep, how much better off you are than the Bodal aldermen just across the chasm, who are at the very moment getting fried. You out there. And Mr. Satan pointed to a tall, swan-necked man far back in the crowd. How would you like to change places with the alderman? And you, pointing to the man who was nervously biting his fingernails, you sentenced here because you let your wife split wood for a family of 6 while you played quoits. How would you like to change places with a confidence man who is compelled to slide eternally down a toboggan of sandpaper? And orator added in threatening tone, I really believe you all deserve a severer punishment. At this, the strikers showed the perceptible weakening. 3 or 4 even straggled back to the works, including the individual last addressed. Now, gentlemen, let your calm, deliberate judgment guide you. I have sounded the warning, let well enough alone. Throw grenades of reason on your smoldering discontent. Let your motto be, well enough is hell enough, and you will pass your time to advantage in this wonderful region, which ever roars with modern improvement and prosperity. A ballet of veterans. Satan bowed, the strikers returned to work, and, as he ordered the car out and settled himself in his seat, he again heard the machinery of the brimstone works put to the rumble. In the midst of the fearful region yawns a spacious valley, in the hollow floor of which stands a huge stage. On this stage can be seen a throng of bald-headed gentlemen dancing earnestly on sharp tacks. These are the men who sat in the front row of the theatre, the men who nightly left wife and home to haunt the playhouse and lavish affection and flowers on willing ballet girls. No hope, no rest they have, save on the one day of the month which Mr. Satan gives them for picking the tacks out of their feet. Then the merry dance goes on again. While His Majesty's subjects look on and laugh, they show no evidence of close observation and study of the salutary art. Each dances in his own peculiar way. Some prefer the mazurka step, while a few practice something resembling the danse du venure. As I stood on the cliff, which answers as the first balcony of the subterranean theatre, and looked down on the all-star combination, my thoughts turned to the thousands of deluded veterans on earth who insist on being frivolously gay, never once worrying their heads about the hereafter. Yet sure as fate, that hereafter will eventually gather them in, and wind them up for this eternal can-can. High up on the rocky shelf above the horrible abyss, I found one whose fate seemed after all hardly adequate to his great fault. He was the man who on earth would eat in defiance of all laws of decency. Many a time had he sat at public restaurant table and gleefully spaded pie into his mouth with a knife blade, while the host of distressed patrons dropped their coffee cups and gazed at the spectacle. He would draw soup through a clotted moustache with a sound like a leaking hydrant. Also, he used to tuck his napkin around under his collar and tie it at the back. In his present situation, he stands fastened to the cruel rock by the halter about his neck, while just out of reach, a throng of merry goblins with luscious pies are venting shrill jeers. The intensely poetic justice of this proceeding is at once apparent. Not all amateur photographers are bad, but enough of them have fallen into the realm of pain to warrant a special and appropriate punishment. Along a high surface of straight rock, each hung by a headrest, where these unfortunates, their forms dangling over the deep but narrow abyss. Every hour, a demon comes along and takes snapshots with the understanding that the victims must look pleasant or be hurled down into the chasm, where they go through the terrible developing torture. Anyone who has had the experience, and who has not, of trying to look pleasant with cleats of a headrest digging deep into his skull knows that what a trying ordeal it is. Kodak fiends without number swung above me as I walked along taking notes. They did the groaning, the devil did the rest. Sometimes I would reach over playfully from the opposite side of the chasm and pull the toe of a gasping mortal just by the way of introduction, and then try to draw him out into conversation. But they were not inclined to be communicative. They were not inclined to be communicative. I now descended by a winding way into the department which is devoted to the punishment of tramps. A diabolical wag had written on the wall the rock above the entrance, "The retreat for the tired." The entrance was guarded by a burly demon who objected furiously to my entreating upon telling him my purpose and explaining the value of newspaper notices. He unbent and said that if I was writing the place up, that was different. He would be glad to do any favor and would like to have me send him a copy of the paper. His fury being thus easily pacified, I passed through the narrow gateway and walked down a long, delectivity up which the blinding steam hurried as a blizzard sweeps up the prairie slope. Upon drawing upon the bottom, I discerned large vasts of boiling water, where were being washed thousands of those worthless, uncouth beings who, while on earth, lived without work, begged without shame, and washed without soap, if indeed they washed at all. Most of these tramps hail from the little mosquito-bitten state of New Jersey, said the burly demon who had followed me down and was making himself agreeable with the evident design of getting his name in the newspaper. "That," said he, pointing to a spot where the ripples spread wide their coils, "this is the soul of tired Timothy of Trenton, New Jersey. Yonder is wayward Huskins, who had an enviable reputation of never doing a day's work in his life. That bald brow